how did you get to New York City?
Well, I mean, I flew here from Dallas. Dude, it was a long route. I never really had dreams of being here. I'm from Nashville originally, and then went to University of Georgia, and then I lived in Dallas for a couple years. I was working at a marketing agency, and I think at this point in my life, I just was following the path I thought you were supposed to follow. I was a finance major, get the marketing job, and 2 years into that, I was like, this isn't it. This isn't it. The story that I even say is I remember on my way to work, I would drive by this one giant tree every day, and I'd be like, I should run my car into that tree so I don't have to go in today. And I was like, oh yeah, or I could just quit, or I could just not do this job anymore. And so yeah, I did that job for 2 years. Loved the experience, loved the people, but then I had a friend who was telling me I should try comedy. I had done some improv classes, and I just think a lot of record scratch moment of wait, all the things I thought I was preparing to do for my life, I haven't really been choosing to do it. I've just been following a route. So now I'm going to go quit this job, start fresh, and figure out what it is I want to do. And it's stand up. And I'm going to go to New York. And I had a bar job lined up here because my sister had been working up here at Brother Jimmy's. And so I had the bar job lined up. I had a friend who lived here who needed a roommate. And I was it was literally just I had done stand up a couple times in Dallas, but it was more I just needed to get out of the rut that I had, kind of not even a rut, but just where I had put myself. I just needed to escape it. And New York was just, it all added up. And it was let's just see what happens. Let's give this a shot.
What did you do when you got here? You had a job, it sounds lined up.
Yeah, I did.
How did you begin to try to get your career off the ground as a comedian?
So first you got to have the job. So I had a bartending job lined up at Brother Jimmy's, and I show up to the bar, and they promised me 4 times in an email. They're like, Jeremy, we have a bartending job. Just show when you get here, come to this location. I go to the location. They're like, yeah, sorry, we actually don't have any bartending jobs, but you can talk to Doug in security. And I was like, dude, I'm 160 pounds. What do you want me? You think you think this is what Doug wants walking in? I can't protect shit. And so I go over to Doug, and Doug is a 300-pound New York City fireman with a Brock Lesnar blonde flat top haircut. And he somehow he gave me the job. I don't know how. I had worked the door at a bar in college, so I have had bar experience and door experience, but this was a legitimate security bouncer position. So I guess I sweet talked my way into it, and then I was a bouncer. That was my first gig up here.
The takeoff of your comedy career as a stand-up, what did you begin to do to try to get better, to try to get time?
Yeah, so got here immediately, and I had a bunch of friends that lived here, high school friends, college friends. I've always been one of those very social people, just have a big network of friends. And so I had a lot of those up here. And so then from what I remember, I just started Googling, and it was the New York Comedy Club popped up, and it was a Friday night show, maybe call it ego, overzealousness, but I was put me on the Friday night slot, baby. I'm ready to go. With very little experience, but I started doing it's a bringer show is what it's called. Yeah. Didn't realize what it really was at the time. I was just this is a club. They have a show that I can do on Friday night. I have to get 5 people. I'll get 25 people. I have people chomping at the bit to come see me because they're Jeremy quit his job to do comedy. I want to see this. So I kind of had a built-in friend network group that wanted to see me. So I'm easy. So do the Friday night show, and I had a great set. Relatively, right? There's a lot of amateur things, but I even have that set online. It was my first set I recorded on YouTube, but I just had fun. I had my, a very friendly audience of friends behind me to, keep it going. I had a whole plan. I had written out this whole set with the theme and jokes and stories about, quitting my job and all this stuff. And then hooking up with a girl who hated Jewish people. That was my big closer was a "you got fucked by a Jew" bit. She said she hated Jews, didn't know I was Jewish, and I was surprised the next day. And I was I gotcha, bitch. So it was I'm wearing a backwards hat and my Wrangler jeans and my New Balance tennis shoes. I was so raw and such the frat bro version of myself. But that was the first taste of okay, not that this is the final product, but I got in front of a live crowd. I quote unquote crushed, relatively to the show. It felt amazing. I was getting good feedback, and I was I can do this. And so then I literally did bringer shows for 6 months. I did one every other week, which you ask most people, it's insane.
Yeah.
Because I guess I did just have enough people, and I was doing a new set every 2 weeks.
Wow.
Which is so stupid and wild because most people it's type 5. I was thinking about my hour before I like, again, call it early mistakes, call it just like my general energy of just like, going big or going home. And so it was a new set and like some of them really worked and then some didn't. So, but I just really got comfortable with taking risks. Like I would write like crazy. I would rehearse sometimes more than I should have. I wasn't even doing that many open mics. It was just trusting my writing and the theme and the story and the thread and then getting up on stage and doing it and then checking out, posting the video and seeing how it went. And first one was great. Then I had another one that went really well. There were some that really missed. And then I started realizing, then I was supposed to do an audition show for Al Martin, who was he was the guy at the time. He owned Broadway Comedy Club. He owned New York Comedy Club. And I was told I'd get 5 minutes. I had to get 5 people. I get to the show, 2 of my people are in, and then a bunch of my people couldn't get into the show because it was sold out. So I've only got 2 people in there, but that's because it was sold out. That's the whole point. I'm waiting in the green room. They're bringing up comic after comic, and I'm like, oh, they're saving the big boy for the end. The hot closer, Clayton knows it. And then the guy comes up to me who's been booking me, taking me out to sushi lunches, telling me I'm going places. And he's just like, hey, man, sorry, you didn't get your 5 people. So you can have your 5 minutes, but Al's not going to watch you for the audition. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I've been bringing 20 fucking people to this shitty club for 6 months every other week. And you're just going to like, at the last minute, after all these promises, pull the rug out from under me. And that is the moment where like, at first it was like sadness and then it was just anger and like, fuck you motherfuckers. Like you don't know, you woke up the bear, right? Like, okay, now we got to figure out like break the cycle of doing the bringer shows for these people. So then it was, I remember meeting my friend Lance Weiss at like some show at the Gotham Lower Room. And then I met some producers that would do shows. And then I started realizing there's a whole comedy community, right? Like there's all these up and coming comics. And at the time, like I remember it was like Chris DiStefano, like at the Greenwich Comedy Club, like basement talking about how he's excited about a festival he's doing. And Mark Norman was coming along at the time. And there was this whole culture of people who are now massively successful. And I started like seeing them, meeting some of them and just realizing, oh, what I was doing was like the newcomer version. This is like the comics is where it's at. Right. And so I started meeting all these people. And then I think the entrepreneur in me, just like I couldn't wait to just be picked. There's too many people doing this. It was too hard to get stage time. So I was doing some shows for other producers, but then I found a venue. I got drunk. Some girl told me she knew a guy who owned a bar. Ended up talking to him in the Upper West Side, and he gave me $200 a night to run a show at their restaurant. And it was amazing because the manager of that restaurant used to be the booker of the Laugh Lounge. And that place had just shut down. So she was working there. So now she's helping me book. I'm getting $200 a night. And I remember going up to comics that I thought like were pretty big. And I'd be like, hey, can you do my Tuesday night show for $40? And they're like, $40? Holy shit. Like okay, Mr. Moneybags. I was like, wait, $40 is good on a Tuesday night to do 12 minutes at my show. And I realized I'm like, I can get anybody I want in the city for $40.
Which is crazy.
Crazy. Like criminal, really, but it's crazy. And so
who did you get?
Oh, God, I mean, Nate Bargatze came to the show. He did not do it, but I think he came with, Gary Veeder or Mark Norman was doing it. But I had one show that was like Joe DeRosa, Michelle Wolf, Greer Barnes, Mark Norman did some shows up there. Sean Donnelly did shows up there. I mean, man, the list honestly goes on. And then the booker from the Laugh Lounge got me a bunch of interesting, lesser known, but very funny comedians. There's this guy named Imagine who was just very good at voices. Like no one famous, but just, I was getting exposed to very unique, all professional comedians. And then me as the host, right? Which was an experience because, I've got, now I'm learning how to host. I'm learning, I've got a high standard to reach, but I'm putting on a good show. So I'm excited to promote it. I'm flyering every night before in the Upper West Side. So lonely at sometimes, but like it would work. But the problem with that show was it was in the restaurant. So you would walk in and where the restaurant was, that was the show.
Yeah.
And at first it was really good, but then the restaurant did not do a good enough job of like communicating that to guests and all that. And so then it became like a bit of like, what you call, I forget what the ambush show, where you're like, 10 people in that audience aren't wanting to be at a show and now it's over, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no cohesiveness. So we ran that show for about like 8 months. There was some shitty behavior by the owners. They ended up shutting down as a restaurant. So that whole concept dissolved. But at this point now, 6 months, 8 months of shows every other week, I got to know a lot of comics. It gave me a reason to go to clubs and go up to comics and get to and talk to them. And like, remember going up to John Laster and then he would do the show. I'm like, but before it was just like, hey, I'm a comic. And they're just like, okay, like what the fuck do you want from me?
Yeah.
So having a reason to get people to come do my shows gave me a reason to like talk to the people I wanted to talk to.
You had something to offer.
Yeah, have something to offer now. And so that I was like, this is fun. The desperation running around hoping people pick me, I hated that. But this is great. I control it. I get excited about the show. I write my jokes for that show. Awesome. So yeah, so then that show shut down because of, the restaurant didn't even make it. And then I was working at Brother Jimmy's in Union Square as a bouncer, kicking ass on a nightly basis, just unstoppable. And then they had this amazing room downstairs. And I was like, why don't I do the show here? Like, first off, I work here. Second off, like, it's Southern barbecue restaurant. I'm from Nashville. Like, this is my brand. And like, I remember when I realized that was going to happen, like it lit up. I'm like, this is what I did before, but like on a much better scale. So we ran that show for about 2 years. That show put me on the map. That show, I got almost everybody. Seton Smith, Kurt Metzger did that show. Gary Goldman, I mean, literally, I could just go on and on. Ali Wong reached out to me on Facebook to do the show. Like, hey, Jeremy, is your show? And I'm like, let me see if I got space for you, Ali. And this is prior to her like massive success, right? So, this is just really cool for me to like be able to like run the space. Alex Edelman. That's where I got to know Alex Edelman very well. Yeah. He would come and do that show, and then we became friends based off of that show. Like, I just remember like I just liked him a lot, and so I'm just making all these early connections to like these great comics. And the crazy part about the Brother Jimmy show is that is now the Stand. Like that.
Is that right?
That club, that is the Stand. That I bounced at the Stand, but it was the Brother Jimmy's.
Yeah.
And we ran shows upstairs. We ran shows downstairs. We used exactly what they do now, but now it's a full-on comedy club with a restaurant. Back then, I was just running the show there. So I think we even had Chris Italia on the podcast I did, and he said he went to a show there and realized like he can make it a club. So I think a lot of that was very like validating. I'm like, I didn't start a club, but I showed that I have like, vision for what a good room is and where a club can work. And I have an ability to get people into the seats, on a regular, consistent basis.
Yeah. What happened after that? I mean, I know this is all leading to where I know this conversation is gonna go, but was that the embers that led to what you're up to now? Did you move very quickly to
no,
the Brooklyn
that was
scene?
early. Those are early embers. At this point, my brain is still like, I am going to be the next Dave Chappelle. Like you still have like, I'm going to be number one, and I'm just learning and growing, and this is what you got to do. I almost didn't want to be a producer. I wanted to be seen as a comic. But at that point, Brother Jimmy's got shut down because they had to redo the downstairs room. So I lost the room. At the same time, my friend knew the new owner of the new New York Comedy Club, and we brought our show to the New York Comedy Club. And so,
on the Upper West Side, or which one?
No, this one was 24th. It was the original, the 24th Midtown. Between 2nd and 3rd. Yeah. So where I started doing bringer shows now gets taken over by, a more hip owner who's updating the space a little bit. Like, oh wait, this might actually be cool again. Because like I didn't want to work for the old place, but this place, if it's different ownership, new, and then I realized I'm like, wait, this place is going to be cool. I think this one's different. So we started running our show there. Same concept every other week. And same thing though, Theo Vaughn did the show. Then he came and had me feature for him at Gotham because he came and did our show. And then just getting to work with everybody. But now we have a club booker helping us, meeting even more people, running at a club, getting experience working at a club and feeling confident. I started doing headlining spots at the club. I would sell out with my own people. I did a charity version of the show. At the time, I had a partner. His name was Joe Garrix. He's a good friend of mine. So we were doing all this together, and it was really exciting and fun. But then, 2 years into it, I just wasn't like, the whole goal of me running the show was so I could have a home club and get more regular stage time, but I just wasn't getting stage, I wasn't getting what I thought I deserved. And I think a lot of comics can feel that way. Like whether I deserved it or not, I'm running successful shows. I'm doing a good job. I'm growing. I'm selling out tickets on my own as a headliner in your club. And I still wasn't able to work there on a regular basis. And so I got to the point where I was just like, you know what? I think people are thinking too much of me as a producer. Fuck that. I'm a comedian. I'm dropping this show. It's not doing enough for me. I'm not making enough money doing it, and it's not throwing me up anywhere. And so what's the point? So I dropped that show. I'm like, let's just see what happens. Like, get rid of your safety net and see where you go. And so I started doing spots here. I then booked a headlining tour through Austin, Atlanta, Nashville, Dallas, DC, Philly, New York. It was all cities that I knew people. So like grew up in Nashville, went to school in Georgia, so Atlanta ties, worked in Dallas for 2 years. Got family in Philly, had friends in Austin. So I was like, I sold out Zanies, 300 people multiple times. And then I sold out the Relapse Theater in Atlanta with all of my old college friends. And then the first one I did was actually at a speakeasy in Dallas, behind a barbershop. And it was like, I was just trying to sell like 70 tickets and break even on my flight, or even less than that. Like, I think it was like 50 tickets to break even on my flight. I sold like 110 tickets because the people from my company, you know, spread the word. Like I had just always made good relationships, and those relationships were coming back to support me and see what I was doing. So I did that whole tour. I sold out 110 tickets at an improv theater in Austin. Did a side room at Second City in Chicago and sold 90 tickets to that. Like every one of those shows was a hit and a home run. Like getting to do an hour, booking local talent, getting to know those other cities, and being a headliner, putting my own flyers out there. Like I'm a headliner, just like that. I had done some featuring, but I really kind of skipped the thing, and I'm getting to run my hour. And so that was such a cool experience for me. I kind of replicated that a couple times at those, you know, existing venues. But then I think, and then I got a manager off of that. So the show that I did in Dallas, a friend went, said he was impressed, put me in touch with his friend who was a manager. I met her, and then we became, you know, I got my first manager. And for me, that was huge. It's like, finally, I got someone who can show me the industry, someone who can look out for me. I'm not doing this all on my own. So it felt like, you know, all that work has now led me to a new platform where I feel secure. So that was huge. And, you know, at first that relationship was great. We did a podcast together. I hosted a podcast with a 90-year-old woman called The Young and the Weary. And it was the best experience of my life because this woman was so fucking hilarious and organically funny and cool. And like, my manager repped her, and she got a spot on Broad City. She did a Super Bowl commercial. She started comedy in her 80s and kind of had a little spark. And so we would go to her apartment in the Upper West Side every week. At first it was just me and her getting to know each other, talking comedy, life, and all that stuff. And like, we just had this rapport, and she was so funny. And I would tell her like, I'm single and I'm not really looking for a relationship. And she'd be like, so you're just doodling along? And I was like, oh, fuck. I am doodling. Shit, Dev. I thought I had like a path and I was like doing something. But Dev was like kind of that older voice that really kind of made me, you know, I'm like 30 years old at the time. That kind of really made me wake up to like, you know, I'm doing shows, I'm doing this. I'm teaching tennis lessons at the time. I had a job stringing tennis rackets, then teaching tennis lessons. And so my life is pretty good, but like, is it really going anywhere? Like from a bigger standpoint? And she really kind of made me realize like, maybe I do want a more serious relationship. Maybe like I need to start, you know, looking outside of what I'm doing and maybe looking for more. And not just smoking weed all the time and doing mushrooms and masking whatever's like I'm probably hiding with all the drugs I'm doing. And like, I wasn't like abusing drugs and like, oh fuck, there's Jeremy, he's fucked up again. It was just, no, just smoking a ton of weed all the time and like not realizing I was numbing whatever was like making me anxious or afraid to do what I really wanted or get what I really wanted out of life. So that whole experience with Dev, you know, we had Mark Norman on the podcast, Nimesh Patel, Corinne Fisher, we had Chris Italia, we had owners of clubs, we had Emilio from the New York Comedy Club, we had producers, we had managers, directors, PR people. We were just interviewing everyone in comedy and getting their perspective. And like Dev would light up. We gave her a spark in her life, and it was just this magical eat bagels on a Sunday, have a good conversation. I learned something. Dev has an amazing time. And it was just this beautiful thing. But then her dementia took on, and it was just we caught her late, I think, as far as like getting that show where I think we could have taken it had we gotten to her a few years earlier. And then of course COVID hit. And so just kind of like ended that project prematurely, but I'm still grateful for it. I still have every episode up. I'm still like, it is such like a growth turning point for me. Started going to therapy after that. COVID happened. So we all had time to think. During COVID, I like filmed a special to sell to a bunch of synagogues because I got commissioned by a local Nashville synagogue to film a 20-minute special with stand-up and sketches. And so I just did that all by myself, and it was really fun, and it was great. Sold that to a bunch of different synagogues, and I was like, cool, like still making content. Maybe I should work more synagogues after this. Like, I don't want to be a Jewish comic, but like, you know, I need to really figure out what I want out of my career. I'm starting to write TV pilots. I'm trying to figure out, like, outside of just doing stand-up, there's got to be something more and bigger that I can do. And so, you know, COVID opens up, the world's changed, the community has changed. I don't really know what I want as much. I'm trying to sell a pilot. Just kind of, you know, that was a process that was going well, but also like, what if I don't sell the pilot? I just wasn't feeling secure. So at that point, I'm starting to date more seriously. I had a girlfriend at the time. We ended up breaking up. And then I met my girlfriend, my wife now. She was, you know, met her. And I really started actively looking for more serious relationships, like had Dev in the back of my mind. I met my wife. And then I'd say from there is when my life was the other big turning point of like having someone and a team and like looking out for more than just myself. And then my whole life took the trajectory to where we are now with what we're doing with the club and all that. So yeah, that was Kayla was a huge turning point for me. And I thank Dev for that. I mean, I thank Dev for that because she kind of like planted that seed in my head. And so with Kayla, when I didn't really know what to do, I was like, where do I go with my career? I'm not getting enough spots. I'm not blowing up. I'm not becoming an Instagram influencer. I don't even want to become an Instagram influencer. Like, kind of hate the culture. I hate the way you have to be successful. Like, do I even want this anymore? Like, that was all that was going through my head. And then we lived in this great apartment together. And Kayla was like, we should do a show here. And I hadn't produced a show since pre-COVID, since even pre-headlining show stuff. And I was like, wait, maybe I should get back into producing shows. Like, oh, we'll do it in our apartment. That's pretty fun. We'll start small. I can book really good, and we'll get 20 of our friends to come. So we got 17, 20 of our friends. I booked a great lineup, and it was awesome. It was like such a cool night. And then we were like, let's do this again next month. 27 people, you know, maybe some friends of friends and some other people. Then we were like, let's do this again. Then it was 35 people. The neighbors were all cool with it. Then we were selling, I think, like 38 to 40 tickets out each show for like a month. And we did that for like almost a year. And I'm like, this is amazing. This thing is special. Nori Davis is coming in, Allison Leiby, all these just great, Michael Rowland, like all these great comics are coming to my apartment. And like, we're building a real show here. And Kayla's baking cinnamon rolls. And we're building this whole beautiful, and like, you know, Kayla designed our apartment well, so everything looked beautiful. And it was like, no one's getting a comedy experience like this. You feel like you're in a living room. You're comfortable. You're making friends afterwards. So it was magical. And then they sold the building out from under us. So not only did we lose our dream apartment, but we lost the show that, like, I don't know how to take this to another place. But then a friend who had been coming to the shows put us in touch with one of their friends. Her name is Sylvia. She reached out to us and she's like, hey guys, I live down the street. I own a really nice brownstone. I don't go out very much. Would you like to bring your show here? And I was like, fuck yeah, I want to bring my show here. Like, it was like a we could get 60 people into her room, and it was way nicer and bigger. She had a huge backyard. It was right down the block, so we could continue with the same brand. I started working with Cobble Hill Collective because, you know, now we got to go from 35, 40 tickets to 60. So I got to get more promotion going. Cobble Hill Collective, they spread the word. We're selling out 60 tickets in a couple hours every show. Wow. So, you know, slightly bigger room. We're stepping it up. We did that for about 8 months, maybe a year, probably about a year. Selling out every time, working with big comics. Aaron Chin, who's one of my favorite comics, is coming by. And just all of these, you know, Joelle Nicole Johnson, who's so funny. All these, again, just keeping up the standard of booking the best comics that I know and blowing people away with how good the lineup is. They're coming. I knew this would be good, but I did not expect it would be this good. I am getting better as a host because, like, now the show feels special. I get to write and speak to my audience. I'm recording every set. It's just like, I don't have to chase anything anymore. Like, this is starting to feel like enough, right? But then it wasn't, because she decided she was going to sell her building. So that show was going to come to an end. And also, one show a month, I just, that's not enough to quit teaching tennis lessons. Like, I'm making $1,000 a show. I'm paying comics pretty fair amount. So, that's not enough to sustain. I don't know how to do this more frequently. So then I was going to try to build a business in Nashville, which is where I'm from. So for the past year, I was in Nashville, going back there every month. I ran a show in Garth Brooks's private event space at his bar at Friends in Low Places. 90 people a show. We're selling that thing out. I ran a show at my friend's boxing gym. We performed in the ring. Crushed that. I performed a show at the JCC and my grandmother's arts and crafts center. So I was just like kind of doing this awesome thing in Nashville. And I'm like, maybe we build a club here. But then the reality of that was, I don't want to come to Nashville every month. I love Nashville. I don't want to live here. New York is home. This is cool. But I also the New York scene is so deep from a talent perspective. Yeah. Nashville has so many great comics and so many good people that I love and that I met and I'm happy I worked with, but the depth is not there yet. There's only one major club in that city. They need more infrastructure in there. I wanted to build that, but it just wasn't the time for me to do that. And so, I was heading to Nashville for my bachelor party, and then I found out that Eastville was for sale. And I was like, wait, Eastville's for sale? Being frank, I never cared much for that club. I lived right down the street, but didn't look like a comedy club. No one really spoke highly of it. It just was I didn't think it was ran well from my perspective. But if I can take over this space, this could be the quickest, easiest way. I could have a comedy club in a month. I don't know, run off their infrastructure. But then once we got to the nitty gritty of that deal, the guy, he just wanted too much money for a brand that I didn't want. I want to do something completely different. I don't want to have to dig myself out of a hole that I feel you dug. I don't want to just put a new management sign and then hope people show up. So it got me going to the commercial real estate route and exploring how it worked. Oh, you can negotiate 3 months rent. You can do this. You can do that. I had no idea. So started exploring spaces. We saw a space in Williamsburg. Too much money for the build out. I had to build a full bar. And so then I was like, damn, the problem here is I don't have a ton of upfront cash. I can get some loans. I can figure out some things. But if this space isn't almost fully built out, I'm not going to have any money for the build out. And if I don't get to make the space my own, then what are we going to do? So then we found this space in Greenpoint, and it was perfect at the time. The problem was I was getting married in 2 months. I didn't have my numbers put together. I didn't have the money ready. So it was kind of shoot, maybe next time we'll find another place, go to the wedding. I wasn't going to stress out on my wedding about what have I just done, So we go to the wedding, we come back, Williamsburg doesn't work out. I go back to the Greenpoint place, still on the market, 2 offers in. I'm like, we want it. We go in, we throw our best offer in. It's the lowest offer they have, but they liked our business model the most, the Greenpoint Comedy Club. There's no comedy clubs in Greenpoint. This place has a history. It was a famous punk bar that got shut down for a liquor license issue. Then it was they had a BMX ramp in there at one point. It was called Tinder Trap. It was get drunk, pack it out, play loud music kind of place. Then the guy before kind of ran it, however he ran it. He didn't know what he was doing. He didn't pay rent for 10 months and he ran away. It was just somebody who had no idea he just had money and no clue is what it was. He was bored. So he was like, I'll start a business, but I don't know what a business is. And so, we were kind of left with not only he put a lot of money into the place and sterilized it, but what we saw was this place is fully built out. It's got speakers. It's got a full bar. It's got separation between a bar and a club room. It's a full-size bar. It's a full-size club. This is it. In an area where there are no other comedy clubs. The clubs in Williamsburg have shut down. Greenpoint is so unique and so cool and so about community. It reminded me of the type of show we can build we did in our apartment, get people in and then be wait, this is different. This isn't just a comedy club. This is built on years of learning and navigating and developing what a show should be and having hospitality be the number one selling point. On top of working with high quality comics. And so this became the space. The negotiation was dreadful because every day you're running your numbers. You're this could be crazy. If this fails, this could be catastrophic. Do I know what I'm talking about? I've never run a bar before. What the fuck am I doing? Those are the voices that go through your head. You talk to people, you get as many friend who owns a bar. But you get to a certain point where it's almost like skydiving, right? You can have as much like, well, the parachute will probably work. Like it could fail. No one can tell you it's not going to fail. There's no 100%. You cannot. If it existed like that, everyone would run a business and it would be easy because you'd have guarantees. So it got to the point where I'm like, there's going to be a ton of shit I'm going to deal with. A lot of stuff I don't know. But what I'm going to do is I'm jumping out of this plane because I've never believed in an idea more. If I want to make it in the world of comedy, this is my best path because I'm not going to become an Instagram influencer. I don't want to become that. I don't want to try to be what everyone else is trying to be. I want to do what I've been doing best for the past 14 years, and I want to lock into that and see where it takes me.
I would love to hear about how you're thinking about how you can make this place special, unique, one of a kind. You talked about hospitality. We were talking offline about the design, a lot of the ideas that are going into it. I'd love to hear how you're thinking about it.
Yeah. I mean, the word that comes to mind is details, right? Like details. And that goes from first is the design, because we're in the middle of the build out right now. So, like we built up a soundproof wall. The room was very big for the showroom. I realized it was too big. We built a soundproof partition. It's not a full wall because it's not going all the way across, but it covers. And now we have a green room in the back of the show that's going to be set up to where you hang out in the green room in a soundproof area. You can talk, hang out. You can come onto stage through a curtain, perform, go off, and disappear without being seen by the crowd. Like it's a full on, like a green room like you get at like a cool venue when you're on the road. Like, there's good green rooms in New York, but the fact that you don't have to walk through the crowd at all, you literally are behind.
Yeah.
So that was number one from like a functionality of the showroom, right? Then it's, the way we seat the tables, we have some unique tables we're going to set up. We're going to make sure, the flow in that room is good, that we can seat enough people, but not too many. And then, we're going to have a projector set up. So comics who want to do projectors have that as a tool. We're going to have every show is going to be shot with an HD camera. So every comic's getting their set sent to them afterwards. So you don't have to like, every choice I'm making from a show is like what I didn't want to deal with as a comic. I hated when I'm about to perform a big show and I want to record a tape and they're about to call me up and now I got to go in the audience and set up my phone on a tripod and hope the iPhone gets good enough quality and it doesn't get knocked over. And it's like such a stressor when all you want to be doing is getting in your zone and getting up there. Like
it's also painful as an audience member watching that.
Yeah. That loser's setting up. It makes you feel like they can't be a good comedian. Like, he's got to set up his cell phone in the back of the room. Yeah. Everything is just bad about it. So we're going to set all that up and have that infrastructure there from day one so that it's, for comics to perform there, we're going to pay the best we can. We're going to try to break the $40 being a lot of money. Like, obviously we'll learn through the business we're going to pay the most we can without breaking ourselves. And then we're just going to design that room to be intimate yet big, right? Like if you want to record a special there, you get 70 people in there, you can make it feel big. You want to come work a new half hour in front of 30 people, it's going to be nice and intimate. You want to, it really has this shift of intimate and big at the same time. Low ceilings, which is what you want for comedy. And then the other aspect is the front bar, right? Which is, to me, the key of what separates us from most of the main comedy clubs now. Now, the Stand is a restaurant. It's a huge upstairs area. So they're kind of in their own realm with that, and they do a very good job with that. But what we have is a really cool, big, but cozy bar. We are going to design it. We have a design team. They're friends of ours. We trust them. We love them. They are as invested as we are. Our contractor is a family friend. Like we are like a family that is putting this together, but it's a bunch of experts, and we're going, paneled wood walls. We're smoothing out the bar, and we're going to put antique glass behind the back. We're going to build a little banquette with some nice seating. Every little detail of that room is going to be nice and clean and sophisticated, but also like not hoity-toity and whatever. I brought on my friend Dory, who's my bar expert, who I love. I met her at Union Hall. We just hit it off. We would go to bars together. She knows everything about alcohol and bars and having fun. And so she's helping me hire our bartender. She's helping me design the program. We have a really cool draft system we're installing. We're going to put really good beers and really nice wines and get creative with our cocktails and have good zero-proof cocktails. So we're also going to offer snacks that are going to be limited, but like we're just getting creative of like, I want to come have an elevated experience. There's a cheap option. There's elevated options. Everything about this feels like a place I would just go to hang out at, comedy aside. Then you have this really cool comedy room that's going on here. They're running all this cool, unique programming. That's cool. So those two businesses can now work together, because in most comedy clubs, you do not go and hang out at that bar just as the bar.
Yeah.
Like the New York Comedy Club East Village has a little bit of a bar, but it's really more of a transient in and out.
Yeah.
I want people after shows to hang out. I want people before shows to hang out. I want people to come when they don't want to come to a show, because if we can build that business along with the club and they're both successful, we can pay our comics better. We can do all these things that a lot of clubs can't, because they got to gouge you with a 2-drink minimum, because you're not going to stay here otherwise. We have to get our money from you now. No, I would rather you come to our club 15 times a year as opposed to twice a year or once a year, right? Like I want regulars, I want community, I want locals to be there, because there's not many comedy clubs in the city where it is locals that are coming on a regular basis. It's mostly tourists at most of the Manhattan venues. And then you go and look at any venue in Brooklyn, you've got some good small rooms. You got the Bushwick Comedy Club, you got Flophouse, you have Tiny Cupboard, really good smaller rooms, great venues. They're not up to the level of the Manhattan clubs in terms of size and what they're doing and the notoriety that they've created. You've got Union Hall, which is an amazing room, great shows, but it's really a room, part of a separate business. It's not a cohesive comedy club. You have Bell House and Littlefield. Those are great event spaces that run some of the best shows in the city. They're not comedy all the time. They're big. And so, you do have Eastville, but I'll let them do what they want to do. And I'm just looking around going, who else is going to be a Manhattan-style comedy club in Brooklyn? Like, we want to be a comedy club for Greenpoint. We want to be a comedy club for Long Island City, for Williamsburg, and literally for anything off the G train. We're going to be the easiest club you can get to. You get on the G, you get to our club. No transfers. You don't have to go to Manhattan. We're in the hot spot of Greenpoint. We are right in the middle of it. We have great restaurants around us, great bars around us. There's a whole nightlife that's developing and growing there. And it just feels like, to me, it feels like a missed opportunity that people are like, oh, Greenpoint's hard to get to. And I'm like, not for the people that it's not hard to get to.
Yeah.
And if you make it cool enough and unique enough, it's worth coming to from Manhattan to get out of the buzz of there and see comedy in a unique, comfortable, cozy environment. And that's what we're trying to create.
I mean, you've been hosting these events now for many, many years. And as you described in detail, successfully, of being able to sell tickets in a variety of different venues. As the leader, as the host, what else have you learned about how to sell tickets, how to do it well? You mentioned a lot about the design and the details of your club, but what else is there to be known about how to do that at a high level?
And there's more to be learned as I go through this process. For sure. You have options of working with PR companies who can get word of mouth out. You can, working with local, and I don't want to give away all my trade secrets, but working with local Instagram accounts who are targeting a group right near you, right? Like Cobble Hill Collective had 5,000 followers, but there were 5,000 people within 10 minutes walking of my venue. So if we're selling a ton of tickets to a small group, so you want to leverage local Instagram event promoters, you want to get into email lists. Building an email list is the number one thing you can do. I've been building mine for years. You build loyal following. But I think, I do know like the New York Comedy Club and a lot of other comedy clubs spend a lot of money on SEO optimization and Google ads and yes, all effective, all good. But I believe, especially for what we're trying to build in Greenpoint, the number one thing that is sometimes forgot about is word of mouth. Word of mouth is everything. I built a show in my apartment because people talked about it. Yeah. We had no signage. We had no reason to think there'd be a comedy show here. It was all done through word of mouth and my email list and social media. But the reason we were selling out is because, it would be like by the end of our Bubby shows, it was 40% repeats and 60% new people. That was sometimes flip it, but that was the general percentage of people at a show. So people are always coming back and they want to tell their friends about it because they go, just come see a show here. They're booking it differently. They're running it differently. They're doing it differently. And you can't believe it. You don't understand it until you see it, right? But my confidence is if I get you into my space and you see the show and you see what we're cultivating from beginning, middle, and even after the show to actually, maybe you make a new friend after the show. When you see from the music that you play, the type of music that you play that is conducive to relaxing and hanging and socializing, all of those details lead to an experience that is sometimes lost in a lot of other places. And so to me, I know how to get people in the door at the beginning. The hardest thing is sustaining word of mouth, building a community that supports what you're doing. That is how you sustain and that is how you grow in a meaningful way. Now the SEO ads and the other things are, that's whipped cream and the cherry, but my milkshake is, the milkshake, the ice cream is what's important. And we're making it, it's a homemade thing that we're building off of running really good shows that are like, I'm booking this from my heart. I'm running this from my heart. I care more about this because I love comedy so much. I think a lot of comics are discouraged. The hang is not what it used to be when I first got here. I want to rebuild the hang. I want people to feel seen. I want to provide comics who aren't getting opportunities a better opportunity. I want to have better open mics. I want to develop new talent better. I want to be more transparent and communicative with people. That doesn't mean I give favors. That doesn't mean I'm a pushover as a booker. It just means if I don't think you're ready, I'll communicate that with you and like tell you, hang out here, be a part of the community, do these open mics. Like, there is a path forward if you're not ready, but I'm just, we're going to provide that as opposed to like send the email, get no response. Well, I guess I'm never working that club and just feeling isolated. And I know so many comics feel isolated and don't know how to navigate without trying to become desperate on social media. And I want to make the brick and mortar, I want to make the craft of stand-up the one thing. I don't book off of your social media following. I book off of who you are as a person and what you do on stage. And it doesn't even have to mean you're perfect. I want people to take risks at our club. I want you to feel comfortable bombing the right way. There's a right way to bomb and a wrong way to bomb. The wrong way is being an amateur and being nervous and flustered and going back to your shitty material because you're afraid to try. No, the right way to bomb is you took a risk and it didn't work out and you're comfortable in it. And I want comics to take risk in my club, and I want that club to be a safe space for comics, for audience members, and for everybody involved.
We were talking about this before the recording, which is, you just mentioned the hang, the importance of the hang and creating a community for comedians, which we were discussing. I'd love to hear about how you're thinking about that. Obviously, there's going to be the shows where people come and watch, but as a source of community for the incredible talent of comedians who are here, how are you thinking that might look on a day-to-day basis?
Well, first off, it's generating a bar that's a good place to hang just gives comics a place. You got nothing to do that night, you come, you hang at our bar. You feel comfortable. I welcome you. I say, hey, just being
even if you're not performing.
Even if you're not performing. Yeah. Because I think so often comics feel you go to a show and you feel like, oh, I'm not on the show, and it's like, oh, so you're not good. Like, it's like, no, I want to be a part of it, and I feel like just being around the energy gets me excited, and some places you just feel so stupid being there. So I want, like, first off, you can come here 7 nights a week, 365 days and never perform. I won't think less of you as a comic. I hope you'll be making friends and networking off of that and finding maybe someone to write a TV show with or someone to do a sketch series with. So number one is just creating a good environment for comics to feel comfortable hanging out when they're not performing. Number two is developing a good open mic where I actually have my eye on the open mic. I make sure that people don't take advantage of it, that there's not this bullshit, oh, this is fucking stupid. Like, no, you're either going to be here to collaborate and try and be supportive and make this useful for everyone. Because I'm going to be watching, guys. I'm the booker of this club. Like, I'll have someone in there to make you feel like what the work you're doing is at least being tracked, right? Like, I'm not going to book you off of killing at an open mic, but I'm going to keep you on my radar more if I see that you're just pursuing this the right way. And that way our open mics can become more collaborative and more fun and a place that more people would like be excited to do an open mic as opposed to like, oh, well, they're fucking depressing and I feel shitty afterwards. Like, well, my goal is going to be I'm either doing a good one or I'm not doing one at all. So we're going to cultivate that. And then I think, one element is like, I want to explore with stopping shows at 11 or 11:30 some nights, because sometimes not all the time, but sometimes the late night shows suck. It's drunk crowds. It's like you're not getting to work on your craft. You're just getting paid to dance is what it is, And it's like, sure, it's great. And I'll do some late night shows for sure. But like, I like the idea of potentially doing some live music to like, kind of like have a little after party vibe sometimes. That is something we're going to explore with. It's not going to be something we jump into immediately, but I'm a drummer. I love music. I know musicians want to be comedians and comedians want to be musicians. So like, let's make this a place where there's music and, dancing and hanging at the end of the night. So like if you're a comic and you're working, the cellar until 11 and then you want to go somewhere afterwards, like come hang out at our bar because we're doing some nighttime programming. That's uncomedy related sometimes. So you don't have to just feel comedy. And then I think the final piece of the puzzle, which is what we're not going to open with. I really want to get 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. down pat. I want that open mics to shows to bar rolling. but we're going to get daytime programming. We're going to get we're going to have a barista. We'll do a coffee shop. We'll be open anywhere from 9 to 10 a.m. until, the 4 or 5 p.m. So there'll be a day shift and a night shift. And during this time, it's going to be classes. It's going to be workshops. It's going to be coffee shops. It's going to be like meetups for comedians and musicians who have all this free time in the day and don't want to spend it by themselves just being depressed or anxious. Like, come here. Just, you got nothing to do during the day, come here. Maybe you'll see someone else who's working on a script and you guys can work together. Maybe you'll find a partner in what you're doing. Maybe you'll just come and write by yourself, but just be around good energy. You'll have a whole showroom to like maybe reserve as like a meeting room so you can recruit 10 of your friends to come and do a pitch session for what you're doing, do a table read for your script. We'll do classes, and I'll be able to hire my favorite comics who could use some extra income to teach those classes. And then one thing that I'm super excited about, if we can actually make work, is having an after-school program. Yeah. So that there's kids who can come in and get lessons from established comedians. And these kids, not that it's a path to become a famous comedian, but it's a path to develop performance skills, to grow confidence, to learn how to write a joke, to like tap into the skills that I think so many kids don't have with social media. Like, everyone has, like, kids can't read books anymore. It's like, well, we're going to tap into reading, writing, performing, and being present. Like, we're going to force those kids, well, force is probably not the right word. We are going to encourage those kids to pursue those routes by teaching those classes and, exposing them to comedy and the creative arts and doing that in our club and our neighborhood. And yeah, so I think if you put all of those things together, those to me are what spell out and define a community. Is, it's fully flowing from start to finish. Incredible vision. A community hub, basically. Community hub. That is, it's always like the cheesiest word. It's like community. It's like a, one of those buzzword, I guess. But no, it's like, I've had it written down for years. Like, community is like always what I was missing, right? Like feeling so isolated as a comic, trying to make it on my own. Whenever I thought about my own success, I felt so comparing myself to others and feeling inferior, going out and just not feeling enough and not feeling a part of the comedy hub. But then you realize so many other comics feel the same way, no matter what level they're at. And almost every comedian I've met on this show, when I've asked them, what is the piece of advice you would give a young comedian coming to New York for the first time? Almost all of them say, find a community first. Because that's where all of your growth comes from. That's where all your friendships come from. That's where a lot of your opportunities come from. And if you don't know where to go to create that, that can make it a very difficult life and career trajectory for you. I always like to close with the same question, and I want to close with that with you. I also want to know when you're thinking roughly this is going to open. So I want you to include that. The question I always close with is how guests think of the word success, and you're welcome to apply that to how you're thinking about what success might look like for your club or your career, however you want to take that. I'd love to close with those two and get your thoughts on them. Yeah, that's a great question. It is it's a hard word to define. I think early on for me, it was becoming, having 5 Netflix specials and becoming the top 5 comics in the world, right? Whatever that meant, right? Yeah. Now it has changed so much. Success number 1 from a business standpoint is staying open, right? Surviving. Like, your number 1 has to be, we are making enough money to cover our cost, to pay our comics, and to stay afloat. And that's number 1. Keep this business. Success number 1 is we have a 10-year lease with a 5-year option. Let's say we're getting to year 10 with the choice to get to that option. If we get to that point, that means we have succeeded as a business. And that means for 10 years, we have provided this community to people. We have kept bartenders working. We have kept comics getting paid. We have gotten 10 years of opportunities for comics and employees and for the community members to have a place to go to watch really good comedy. So number 1 is that. Number 2 is, I think, there was times where I felt like, from an outside validation standpoint, I always wanted to be like successful from like a mainstream, famous, recognizable. I never really wanted to be famous. When I got into comedy, I was like, I don't want to be famous. I just want to be successful. And by that, I mean respected by my peers, right? Like, I think that was the one thing I was like, man, I feel like I've had successes in my career, but I don't know if like the comedy community is going, man, Jeremy Pinsley is just one of the finer comics and we've loved him and salute what a great, like, I think a lot of people like me. I think I have a good reputation. I think, people think I'm funny, but like, if I can build a club that not only supports other comics and their dreams and gives them opportunities to pursue that. Also gives me a chance to grow as a comic, as myself, give myself a home place to work out. And all of those things can come together is like, wow, Jeremy, not only was he funny and warm and welcoming, but he also put so much energy in to give all of us those opportunities because he realized it was, when you think outside of yourself, you get so much more gratification. So to be recognized within the community of people that I respect is someone who did something positive for the comedy community of New York City. If I can have that stamp, Jeremy was an integral part of the scene, not because he was so funny, he blew us away, but because he was everything a comic can be and also gave so much back. And like, if I can accomplish those things, like, oh man, I will go to bed, I will die with my eyes closed slowly, happily, just like, whatever, bro, I fucking did it. So, and it's nice to have my dream shift away from the external, you know, millionaire mansions, like outward success, Netflix specials, famous, because that's a hamster wheel. It has been proven that you're not going to be happy after you get your Netflix special. It's not going to fill the void that you think it's going to fill. I think it's been proven 1,000 times over and over, and it's just a fact. Yet we still chase it, thinking it's going to do that. So to get rid of the chase and to not chase that anymore and to have something that's a little bit more fulfilling, be able to support my family, support a community, and support myself, that's the new goal, and that's success.
When roughly do you think this club might open?
You know, I'm going to knock on wood here. Let's see, we're in, middle into January right now. I think March is our plan to get the bar opening. I think, hopefully we're through with our build out by middle into February. If some of that goes on a little longer, that's fine. I'd like to get the bar running at some point in March. Our target is the bar opens March 1st or 2nd. We're going to do a couple soft launch shows just to test the showroom and the equipment, make sure our flow is good. But really, I just want that bar to work for March, get that program operating at full speed. Then in April, I think our goal, I don't want to marry myself to this day, but April 10th is looking like our hard launch date as far as like Friday night. We got all the press talking about it, trying to get everyone out to Friday is when the club is officially open as a full-time comedy club. The weekend of April 10th, 11th, and 12th, that's going to be our big first weekend. And then, operate Thursday, Friday, Saturday through April, get that eventually going 5 to 7 nights a week and just build this thing slowly but surely and steadily.
Good luck.
We're going to fucking need it, but I appreciate that.
Thank you, bro.
Thanks, man.